interesting information that we know where AI is going to impact from what Mr. Ujjwal was saying. That is very quite a different information. I hope that AI will not hallucinate with the data, right? So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be with you all today, and thank you, IBPC, for giving me this wonderful opportunity to share and to sort of deliver clarity. There's a lot of noise going on with respect to AI. And my job is just to deliver clarity and make sure that we are all guided properly. And that will be the, and I'm going to make it very lightweight topic, right? There are certain heavy dose which will be coming in the panel discussions, but I'm going to make it pretty much for very layman from that aspect point of view, right? So redefining the future. I always have a problem. Is this the future, or is something else that's going to come as the future? That's a very different topic altogether. But I believe we are already in the future only, because we don't know what's going to, who's going to come up with what announcement tomorrow. I think I can see there, yeah. So those were my 8 books. Something, this author bug bit me a couple of years ago. So that starts moving on in the last 2 years. I've already spoken in many of the institutions. Academia is one of my attraction. Because somewhere if you have to sow the seed, academia becomes one of the very important areas. So I do engage a lot of conversation with the academia and of course my corporate world as well. My dear friends, the world is recalibrating as we are all, every day that we see. It's a continuous recalibration that's happening in the world. 5 years before, the world reset. That was just 5 years before. We now know how 5 years is so small, right? And then when we talk of next 5 years, it is as small as this last 5 years' time frame that we actually have traveled. And 2025 is the year of recalibration. In these 2 times, there were 2 important dates for me that I always say that this is really a defining moment. Not 9/11, not 26/11, yeah, right? This is a very different thing. It's 30th November 2022 when the world woke up, something called ChatGPT. And that was one defining date for me. And the second defining date for all of us to understand where we are, in what situation that we are today, right? And that's another date all of us can understand the whole concept behind what I want to say, right? The world is recalibrating, right? Every day, practically. 3 questions matter to me at any given point in time. One is we need to see and understand where we are, and especially in this process of recalibration. And we need to see where we are heading to and what we must do. 3 simple questions every time, right? And this is more important today because there's this entire concept called AI or technology is trying to catch and trying to take a space within us. If you see in our entire evolution, all the revolutions that has been happening today was outside the human body. So we knew how to handle it. Everything, whether it was your steam engine, onwards, whether it is whatever, all the way till your smartphones, everything was outside the human body. For the first time, this revolution is coming a time to take a space within our brains. And that is something that we are not used to. And that's what we are trying to sort of cope up with. And when I say where we are, it becomes very important for us to understand clearly where we are. We are in the middle of a long drawn uncertainty. Gone are the days when we said technology disruption, technology, only one that was there, right? Sometimes act of God, now even act of God also is more frequent these days, right? So, so weather disruption also is more frequent these days. But economic flux, when I put up this slide maybe 3 years ago, I keep on updating it until this morning also, right? I said economic flux, but then I added loads of things below that because of 20th January and things happen after that, right? I said, rise in global conflict. I had to add something more to that. And today I said population dynamics. I said it was evolving. It's not evolving today. It is confusing, right? In various pockets of the world. So I keep on updating this slide, and we are indeed actually living in a world which is characterized by a rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled situation, right? In the middle of all these things, we are trying to shape our so-called future for our businesses and for our lives also. That's the kind of situation that we are in terms of understanding it very. And in this, there is something called technology, and we are here gathered to discuss a small portion of this overall technology part of it. Jumping straight away into all these questions and first and foremost thing, I was looking at, we hear all these things in the media and the news anchors and so on. AI and Gen AI, are they one and the same? And this was completely being used in a mixed manner until probably 2-3 months before. Then when I saw some of the news anchors knew how to differentiate between AI and Gen AI, and this is something that I keep on moving in wherever discussion that I go. AI and Gen, are they one and the same? Fundamental question, right? So I thought, let me just explain that part, because otherwise the whole understanding becomes a little bit difficult. So AI, there is one thing called generated part, and the other one is a whole lot of, all our techies, the Infosys and the TCS, all of them are working and so on. So that's another part, machine learning and all that stuff. This is a broad definition. Thought, okay, let's make it a little more simpler. Gartner said it in a nicer way. He said, Gen AI is a portion of the overall AI universe. Now we saw, okay, it is not one and the same. This is a subset of the overall AI, like artificial intelligence. I said, let's go a little further and then completely clear the fog between AI and Gen AI. If I have to explain this in one word, anything that is automation is AI. Anything that is augmentation is Gen AI. Simple to understand. This definition, probably I may not be able to hold waters another 2-3 months time frame, because some of you know that the automation is already getting into augmentation part, right into there. So I still will hold for next 1 or 2 months time frame, but not beyond that, but broadly for us to understand automation knowledge. So which means your automating human tasks is all done by the AI part, technology, tech, completely tech and so on. But here, in case of Gen AI, it's more about augmenting our human thinking, right? And while the other one replaces human task, here it is enhancing our overall capability to think. Let's make it even much more simpler. Anything that is going to work for you comes under the AI. Anything that is working with you is called Gen AI. Simple. You sit and then next to you keep your laptop with ChatGPT on, nothing will happen unless you start interacting with ChatGPT. Now you understand, right? So generative AI is all about co-working, co-thinking, co-creating. It is your co-thinker. It is your means that our knowledge and our wisdom can get connected to this something called this global collective knowledge, and that is profound. And that is not making you 5x, 10x. You can put your number there, right? It's making you that, because it is connecting to the global collective knowledge. So that's a simple way of understanding clear difference between AI and Gen AI. Famous question? Thank you so much. Yeah. Famous question, will AI take away human jobs? Show of hands. Will AI take away human jobs? Some of them, right? Okay. Okay, to confuse you, I have another question. Will Gen AI take away human job? Yes, no, yeah? Yeah, okay. AI will take away human job. No doubt about it. Because it is replacing repetitive tasks. And if anybody, whosoever is doing repetitive tasks, AI will replace. But Gen AI will not replace. I can't see any case where Gen AI by itself, ChatGPT, I lost my job to ChatGPT, I think it's not there. But what is it, right? Let's listen into a quick 1-minute video.
What is one thing which AI can't copy from humans? which I would like to know that what kind of a thing would it be that humans can do but AI can't?
Yeah,
And
yeah. Actually, it's an excellent question, and in fact, this is probably the single most vital question for now,
right,
which is what are all the things that AI can do? What can it do? It turns out that as we speak, AI has no possibility of doing all of what we do. However, depending on the jobs that we do, sometimes it could do 20% of our jobs, 20% of our work, 1,000 times better. For some people, it might be able to do 50% of their job 1,000 times better. But in no job can they do all of it. And so this is the great observation. Because of that, every one of us should apply AI to automate, to become an assistant to help us with that either 20%, 40%, or 50%. People ask me, Jensen, is AI going to take your job? And I tell them, absolutely not. The person who uses AI to automate that 20% or 50% is going to take your job.
Very clear, right? It's going to be the person, maybe sitting next to you or maybe from anywhere, and maybe from a tsunami of workforce that's going to join, right? So you won't lose your job to Gen AI, but someone who has learned how to use it will be the one to take away the job. Yeah. The massive revolution today, and this is my math, I will say that this is an NX era where one person can do 10 people's job 10 times faster at 1/10 of the cost. All the CFOs and finance and people can understand what it means in terms of money value, right? And even if I change that to 5x, even then it is a huge economics for any company. And as we all have found various ways, creative ways of cutting costs in the last 5 years, 10 years as time frame, this is a super bonus, right? That where you actually have, as you go for finding ways and means of having greater efficiency, Gen AI and AI both, right, are your means to move in that direction. And if you ask me, how will it help me in my job? Definitely speed. Not just speed, but speed with quality, right? Speed with quality, efficiency, and also it can raise your capability with the help of generative AI. And that again converts into phenomenal cost savings and numbers. People say that the trend in Gen AI has already begun, and I have a problem in coining the right sentences and words. I cannot see that it's a trend. We can't just brush it aside that way. So I say, no, that's not the one. But I would put a very stronger statement saying that this revolution is not waiting for people to embrace it. It is not waiting for people to embrace it. 30 years before computerization took 10 years' time frame for the entire humanity to change. It took 10 years, but that was the 30 years before speed. Today's speed is not the same speed. And experts say that it takes 2 to 3 years for humanity to transform. We are already close to 3 years' time frame, right? And today I am seeing the technology is not waiting, it's going at a breakneck speed overall. And why? Because we all human beings need reason to believe as this transformation is real. And we are still thinking whether it's myth or is it real, it's reality, and our topic also is very much on the same side, right? I want to give certain reasons to believe, and always we react when there is enough and more reason for us to believe that there is something really wrong, right? And then we will transform. This is one of very shocking moment for me when I understood. I always put my dates there, close to 2 years before. In Tamil Nadu, Microsoft and the government joined together to educate rural school students, class 6 onwards, on AI and generative AI, which means the students who are going to come out to the workforce are going to be native Gen AI people, right? Now, not only that, so which means here what they have done is a high-level knowledge of AI has been already commoditized. This is one story. Singapore, the government, the IT minister already said that the government will subsidize the skilling of people. Look at Sora, look at ChatGPT, and especially for people in the mid-40s. There's a complete video on that. Yeah, said you will be untenable when the tsunami of students are going to come with native Gen AI capability, talent, and so on. That's Singapore. In Hong Kong, there's a company called NetDragon. And I thought it's an ordinary company. No, it's not. It's a listed company in Hong Kong, which means it's of some stature. And they have a bot as the CEO for the last 2 years' time frame. If you go and Google it today also, which means they have already submitted 2 financials, right, with this bot. So for some time I used to say Miss Tang. I said, no, there's no Miss and all that. Right? It is Tang you. It is functioning. There is another company also where bot is the CEO. Nobody is spared, right? Harvard and BCG, they have done some study. This study keeps happening year after year. And they put the senior most consultants as well as the junior consultants into 2 control groups. The junior consultants have access to Gen AI, whereas senior consultants don't. And when they compared the outcome, they saw that the junior consultants improved performance by 43%, while the senior consultants were marginally around 17% or so, right? That means it tells its writing is on the wall, right? The catch-up can happen at any given point in time. In legal space, as Mr. Ujjwal was saying, a lot of things are already happening in legal space, both in UAE as well as in India. 17 schools in Dubai. I talked about a school in Tamil Nadu, right? We thought, okay, that's 4,000 kilometers away. No, it's happening right here in Dubai, right? 17 schools from Dubai and Abu Dhabi, 4,500 students in the age of 11 to 12 are already put in the cohort last year. Probably they're running the 2nd and 3rd cohort. They included the parents also into this. This is an initiative between Samsung and the National Program for Coders. So you are already getting a native Gen AI talented workforce right from Dubai out here, right? In next few, probably from the next year onwards, because you have graduates coming year after year, right? Always Dubai has to be first, right, in many things. So they said a new system of classification. This is very interesting to me. And as a person pursuing a doctorate also, this is very interesting that they said, be transparent. And today the world, 2/3 of the world academia world accepts that you can use generative AI. It's still only 1/3 are resisting today. So they have come out with these nice icons. So say whether it's human or human-led or machine-led or whatever. So they already have set the trend. By the way, UAE is the second in terms of artificial intelligence next to United States in terms of the investments and other things. That's a completely different slide altogether. We were very proud 8 years before when we said that UAE declared the first dedicated minister for artificial intelligence 8 years before. Today, we have an AI-generated minister in Albania, right? And when I was typing out this, I said, His Excellency, Her Excellency, kya bataun? I don't know. So, ask ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT said, no. These are the titles are only for humans and not for non-humans. So you look at it as a system. It's a ministry. You call it ministry, but it's actually a system. So no use of a HE or whatever and so on. And now also it's called ministerial, as simple as that, right? So when you don't know, like he was saying, and that's very important, one of the mantra for me, it's curiosity. I'll come to that. In Saudi Arabia, this year onwards, same. The entire work for these students are already educated on generative AI. In Miami, there's a school running for the last 2 years' time frame. Only 2 hours of education, that too, it is AI enabled. All the rest, they are producing, at year 9, they have a TEDx speaker, 9 years old, right? The whole thing is, especially in the academia, and this, when they transform in the next 5 years' time frame, I said 5 years is very small, right? We know that, right? They're going to bring a huge change. We all know this famous quote, Jack Welch, something that drives me for the last, say, 30 years or so, right? Always look at what is the rate of change outside. Okay, now where are we heading to? That's the next question, right? My journey, when I started generative AI, I said, what is generative AI, what it can do? So it said, it knows everything but understands nothing. I said, wow, fantastic, I'm happy. Yeah, bach gaya, right? So they said, that's my job, so it's fine. But then they said AGI, artificial general intelligence. I said, what is that? So it can reason out, it can make judgments, it can solve problems, it can talk in our natural language. Our ChatGPT is nearly doing that, right? But AGI, it's still in the very nascent early stages. If this itself is early stages, what is the full-fledged AGI, right? Right? Then they said, it will not have emotional and social skills. I said, okay, thoda to, yeah, there's some place for me, right? To make myself relevant. And they said, then there's something called artificial superintelligence, right? And artificial superintelligence, if you have listened to this video, Ray Kurzweil says, pessimistic estimate was 2030, but then he said, look at Elon Musk, he's saying something else. He's saying 2029, and he already announced $20,000 tag for the humanoid robo, right? So, very, very different, right? Now, what it can do, it can surpass human capabilities. Again, back to the same question, right? So what are we humans going to do? Let's look at that also. That's a question I know. This is a question that will be in your minds. You'll ask the same question which you are asking today. Will AGI take away my job? Or will ASI take away my job? This question. So we will once and for all clear the answer for this question. And let me not do that honest. Satya Nadella will do that. Again, a minute and a half video. Let's listen into this.
One thing I'm not sure about
some volume increase,
your answers
please.
on different questions is whether you think AGI is a thing in the sense of like, will there be a thing which automates all, at least like starting with all cognitive labor, like anything that you're going to do on a computer?
So this is where my problem with the definitions of how people talk about it is cognitive labor is not a static thing, right? Like there is cognitive labor today. If I have an inbox that is managing all my agents, is that new cognitive labor? And so today's cognitive labor may be automated. What is the new cognitive labor that gets created? Both of those things have to be thought of, right? Which is the shifting. So that's why I think this distinction, at least in my head, I make is don't conflate knowledge worker with knowledge work. The knowledge work of today could probably be automated. Who said my life's goal is to triage my email? Right? Let an AI agent triage my email. But after having triaged my email, give me a higher level cognitive labor task of, hey, these are the 3 drafts I really want you to review. Like that's a different abstraction.
But will AI ever get to the second thing?
May, but as soon as it gets to that second thing, there will be a third thing, right? So this is where I think, why are we sort of thinking somehow that we've dealt with tools that have changed what is cognitive labor in history? Why are we worried that all cognitive labor goes away?
Got the answer? It's our job to move to the next cognitive labor. And just to drive home this point, 5 years or maybe 10 years before, we were just going out to the streets to buy cab, right? Stop each and every cab, right? And today we don't do that. We have moved to the next level. We are just sitting inside, unless the cab guy comes and says, I have arrived, I'm outside your house, then only we say, okay, let me move out, right? So we are expected to move to the next and the next and the next cognitive labor. That's what inspired me to write a book on what's your and. And this is a very pertinent and permanent question for all of us. What is your and? This is a question that we need to ask. If you know certain things, computers will know how to do that. So you move to the next and you move to the next, right? So that's precisely what he said. And yeah, that's why he said human knowledge and machine knowledge, it's not versus this versus that. It is this and that. That is the era that we are living in, and that is what we all have to learn and understand, and how to coexist and co-create with these generative AI capabilities that machines can offer to us. But of course, very much important is governed by human wisdom and governed by proper guardrails and all that. The question that I always see from many in the corporate world, they ask me, can ChatGPT do this? Can Gen AI tool do this? I say, change the question. It's not that way, right? It's when you frame the question differently, what you want it to do, you take the ownership first, right? Here is where, by just reframing the question, you are not outsourcing your thinking to the machine, right? So every tool, remember this, everything and every act tomorrow, today, will be governed and driven by tools. It's not just the technicians and the plumbers and the engineers. We are carrying a toolkit with them. All of us will have a toolkit with us. And that inspired me to come up with another book called Build Your Own AI Garage. All of us will have a garage of tools. And this tools is something that we'll keep on adding or changing and so on. So again, back to the same thing. You'll have another question comes, right? Because there's a lot of terminologies are being talked of. RPA, we all know that. Then we say Gen AI. Somebody started saying agent, AI agent. Another one says agentic AI. Too much of noise on agentic AI these days, right? Especially in the last 3-4 months time frame. And then there's an AI agent. And what's all this? And how do we understand this? Let me make the job very simple and very easier on that also, right? So what it is, see, an RPA is a rule follower. That's a big menace for us, right? Because it just follows the rules. You go to a bot, it will ask you a question, it will ask you to answer its question, not to listen to your question. I said, please help me, give me a human agent. Tells us. And today they are also trained that, they are trained not to give you to the human agent. And then I take a lot of, passion. I said, let me crack you now, right? So I spend another five minutes this time frame with this haggling around, because we have to do that with ChatGPT also sometimes, right? And then I end up getting the human agent somehow or the other. RPA, rule follower, right? They have said there's a prescribed rule and they'll simply follow the rule. Whereas the Gen AI is something, we can understand it as a creator. AI agent is going beyond that. It's creator and it will also do the job. Whereas agentic AI is a planner and a manager. It is like, when you call your driver and you say that, okay, go to the airport, pick up this person. On the way, just pick up my child also from the school and then go and drop this item here and then pick it up from Diva. And you give them 4 or 5 jobs, right? This fellow will go and do all the 4 or 5 jobs and come back. Agentic AI, right? So if you actually, when I was looking at this, I'm looking at it, it's a complete HR department, right? That we are going to see a new HR department. The remuneration will be called subscription fee, right? Right? So imagine like this. So one is the RPA is only hands, just doing, right? No brain. Whereas creator is full of brain. It's a brain only, but no hands. And AI agent is sort of combination of both. But when you go to agentic AI, it also can take certain decisions as it moves on. That's a simple way of understanding the difference between these things. So what something is best for routine, and you can understand that particularly easier. And then an automotive factory is just doing of things. Whereas graphic artist and content writer, they are purely brain part of it. And your personal assistant who can handle all the tasks for you, you can understand that as an AI agent. And agentic AI is your kind of somebody who does all and then also takes decisions on course and then delivers you the overall result and all that. Right? So that's a simple way of understanding all these things. Now, next question is, but how to, right? That's logically next question. Again, this guy comes. Our next worry is, how many of you have this worry? 2 hands up. So honest. I will simply tell you, it will not take your creativity and originality provided you follow a small framework. And that's one of my research papers also that I've submitted on that framework. This is something as a practitioner, I understood Gen AI to use it in the rightful manner. And if that is there, then you can actually 5x, 10x, nx your capability, right? Including your creativity, including your originality. Let's have a quick look at it. And this actually blew up 3 months before, 21st of June. How many of you have seen this article, ChatGPT? They lit the world, entire world. If you go to Google and search on this article, the Google search gives you 25 results per page, right? Per scroll. It is going all the way till 40th scroll. It's still the same thing all over the world. These people are happy and doing what they'll just create a problem or define the problem and their job is done. So very next day while I was doing a masterclass for another corporate entity here, the next day I went with the solution in terms of how this can be handled and how you will not lower your brain activity. This was and it's all of MIT professors, and today we are all groomed and we are all tuned to say that if it is coming from MIT, Harvard, it is truth, it is gospel truth. But I'll tell you a small secret to this on this study. This study, they did not reveal it. They revealed it in one small corner. This study was done with just 54 participants over a period of 3 to 4 months' time frame. Can you believe that? Is this a number? But MIT did it, so, right? But the question was genuine, therefore I took it. But the way the survey and then the way they blew it up, I'm absolutely not in favor. I've spoken to some academic world people also, and they said, yeah, that's the agenda, right? Agenda driven and so on. But there's a fact in the whole thing. There's a truth in the whole thing. Deloitte carried it. IBM carried the similar stories and all that. So if you ask me, I will take this rule. This is a framework, my framework. Answer is no. As long as you adopt this big framework, what I call it as big framework is brainstorming and ideating must be yours. Leave the generating part to the machine. Right? I repeat, brainstorming and ideating must be yours. Don't outsource your thinking to that. Don't even go to ChatGPT without you have brainstormed and ideated within your mind. And that's critical, right? And then it is only to enhance. And I always say to every audience, I say 925 plus 1246. Can anybody give an answer? Wow. But I don't know. I don't know. Verify that. Don't worry. This is the first answer attempt, at least I got. Somebody has to check in the calculator, by the way, sorry. But that was a math. 10 years before, several people could answer, right? At least 30-40% can answer. Today we know, because we said, that's not my job. It's calculator's job. Or at least go to the smartphone and so on, right? So leave the generating part to it. Don't leave the thinking part to the machine. This is one framework, the big framework, right? This is at the time of you approaching your Gen AI tools. There's another framework. I said, the world was talking about human in the loop. I said, yeah, some problem. Yeah, human in the loop. Why human should be in the loop? They, of course, created it for a different reason. But then, the moment there's a jargon coming from the West, everybody starts jumping into it. I said, no, pause. Let me see validate the whole thing. I found that it's not human in the loop as far as Gen AI is concerned. Machine must be in the loop. Humans were there. Will be there continuously. So put the machine in the loop and see how we can validate it. Then I came up with, I said, you must be thinker at the beginning, right? Brainstorming, ideating. Yeah, you must be thinker at the beginning. And something that we don't do is, we don't do a sense making at the end. Sense making is going to be a new superpower. When everybody knows how to use ChatGPT, what differentiates you from the other? Back to the same question, right? Your sense making is driven by your intelligence, your wisdom, your experience, and so on. That's how you will differentiate. So sense making becomes extremely, put the machine in the middle now, right? In the middle. Now, how can it remove you lose your creativity or your originality? No way it can use. As long as you have this guardrail, putting yourself at the thinker stage and putting yourself at the sense-making stage also, right? So that way, the worry also can be gone. So towards the end of my part, it's not hype anymore, it's reality today. That much at least we are all sure about it, right? So it's 2.5 years or close to 3 years time frame that we have come ever since ChatGPT came into existence. So from a Gen AI perspective, if you ask me what SMEs must do, most of you here, or for that matter, not only SMEs, everybody, right? So would you want to cope up? Would you want to catch up? Or would you want to embrace? So coping up, in my case, is a no-no. You can't cope up, right? Catch up, no, right? Embrace it, because embracing is unconditional. You're trying to cope up means you're doing a part-time job, right? Trying to. Like many say, I use ChatGPT. 7 billion people use ChatGPT, right? If you ask 7 billion people of the world, they said, everybody use, I know ChatGPT, right? Knowing is something, embracing it, and then putting it to use on a day-to-day basis, something else. So I have just 5 prescriptions for Gen AI. Stay curious. Vitamin C, the new modern vitamin is curiosity, right? And when people ask me, how did you catch up with all the Gen AI tools? I said, nothing, curiosity, right? In fact, I remember my first discussion on ChatGPT was in Toshiba when I was going for a meeting with Santosh. I said, what ChatGPT? I don't know, nothing. It doesn't. That was December or so. 3 months later, I said, wow, this is something totally different. It's mind-boggling. It's perhaps going to change the way of working and way of thinking. And it does today. It's a whole new way of working and whole new way of thinking. What drove me? Just curiosity, right? And curiosity is indeed a premium skill as put by World Economic Forum year after year since 2022 onwards. You look at their future of jobs report, curiosity stays on the top, right? So curiosity, keep learning, 100% skilling of on Gen AI tools within your organization. Continuous adaptation, knowing today is not enough. You need to know, you have to know again, you have to know again, you have to know. It's a continuous process, right? And guardrails are extremely important. The two guardrail framework that I shared is one of the very vital guardrails for responsible use of Gen AI. And human-to-human skills is another important aspect. And finally, when we come to AI in general, while we are going to talk about a lot on how it impacts the cost, how it impacts the talent and all that, in terms of data readiness, people skills, future skills, from a Gen AI point of view, building the human capital, your sovereignty, compliances and accountability also is, these are all the tech subjects which the Augustus panel will be delving more on that. And of course, in terms of also scaling responsibly, AI in governance becomes extremely critical. And then we have a government official also who has elaborated on that. So in all, summing it up together, leveraging AI, and now we know the difference between AI and Gen AI, right? So with that confidence, I'm saying, I put that sentence, leveraging AI and embracing Gen AI. It's a whole new way of working and whole new way of thinking. And when I say whole new way of thinking, everything comes under that, right? Thank you very much for this.